Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So our session tonight is leading ESL and change-making initiatives for community members. This session is being hosted by the School of Leadership and Education Sciences at the University of San Diego. So we are happy to have you here with our on our showcase tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you a little bit about us as a graduate school, and then we're gonna hand it over to our guest speaker tonight. Just one second here. So we are the School of Leadership and Education Sciences at the University of San Diego. We call ourselves SOLES. So what is SOLES? We are a collective of academic departments, centers, and institutes. We have 34 full-time faculty members, 40 plus affiliate faculty, 30 plus administrators and staff, and we're actually the largest graduate school at the university with over 800 graduate students between our master's programs, doctoral programs, credential, certificates, and our online master's in education. And we're also one of the most diverse schools on campus, with 48% of our students being students of color. So a little bit about us and our culture. We are rooted in social justice. We are led by compassion, inspired by curiosity, and driven by a shared vision at our graduate school. And you'll see on your screen that we do have some core values, and that includes diversity, inclusion, and social justice, excellence in teaching, care for the whole person and common home, community engagement, which applies to our topic tonight, and excellence in scholarship. You can learn more about our programs on our website, so I'm gonna link to that in the chat in just a second. But let's go ahead and introduce our guest speaker for the evening. So we have Dr. Viviana Alexandrowicz with us, Associate Professor, Director for Changemaking Center for K through 12 Education. Her areas of research include effectiveness of in-service bilingual teacher education, theory and methodology for teaching English as a second language, internationalization of curriculum, and community engagement and change making. So I'm going to actually hand it off to Viviana to talk to you tonight about her leadership topic. And I'll be moderating the chat as well. So if you want to go ahead and put any questions into the chat, or you can unmute yourself and we can have a nice dialogue that way, because it is a small group tonight. So welcome, Viviana.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to introduce Carly Danaher, who is a former TESOL student. Now she's an ESL teacher. She'll tell us about what she's doing. And I invited her because we collaborated on an initiative that that taught ESL to community members. So she's an important, critical part of this. It's important that I tell you, she's my colleague now and my collaborator. Good afternoon, Carly.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
So just a little bit of a background on this initiative. Years ago, I started an initiative called Open University, and it was geared to bring community members to USD and for them to attend classes for free. So audit classes, and at USD, we don't allow auditing classes. So I had to talk to the president of the university and get him on board with the idea. So we collaborated with the community center, Bayside Community Center, which is located in our neighborhood of Linda Vista. Linda Vista is the second most diverse neighborhood in San Diego, with over 20 languages spoken there. And so it was the perfect collaboration for us at USD. So we offer the community members to take classes, the classes that they wanted at USD. So we provide them with all the listing at the whole university. And once they identify classes that they would like to take, I would talk to the professors and convince them that this was a great opportunity to have community scholars in our classrooms, And so that's what we did. And I tell you, our students learn more from the community members than probably the community members learn from us. I had a couple of them in my classes, and the students were just blown out of the water with all what they had to contribute about their experiences for English language learners, which is the class I was teaching in methods for English language learners. And they had so much to contribute about the topic. So they took all kind of classes, from history to leadership courses, and all the professors were thrilled to have them. Some of them didn't even have secondary school. They hadn't finished secondary school, and their proficiency wasn't that good. So, those were challenges. Out of that initiative, we had a small grant to start in another initiative. It was ESL for community members. And so I wrote this proposal stating that it was going to involve 3 of our graduate TESOL students. So here is one. Carly was one of them. And so we had this amazing year-long program for community members who spoke Vietnamese and Spanish. And so they had a great time. Our students learned so much about teaching ESL. It was a great practice. So Carly will tell you more about the program, all the details about the program. But it was a great opportunity for us to take leadership in the community by offering something that the community members asked for. They came to me asking, can we have an ESL program? And that's how I involved our students. And they took roles of leadership, because this program wasn't just about ESL, but it was a change-making project where the teachers help the community members empower themselves with language and skills so they could advocate for themselves. So that was one of the main, if not the main goal of the project. So I'm gonna now give the floor to Carly, and she can explain more about it.
So one of the most amazing aspects of having the Linda Vista community members come to the USD campus was also to see how excited they were to be able to have access to such a beautiful campus and such a beautiful place. Not only just the learning English aspect, but that we opened the campus to them, and being inside of a classroom, you can tell just the excitement and how eager the students were just to be in a college classroom. And one of the most important things that I think about when being a teacher is understanding the opportunities that I've had in my life when it comes to education, and how I can use my opportunities in order to find those specific populations of people that do not have the access, or maybe do not have the means to be able to learn English. So I think that was the most beautiful thing about this project, was to find that population, or find that community of people that really want to learn English but do not have access to it. So not only that, but it was just such an amazing opportunity, because I had no prior teaching experience before this. And we really started from, I would say, the most basic literacy level. We actually had a Vietnamese translator who she's in charge of the Bayside Community Center. So she was also an advocate for the Bayside community members. So we had her in our classroom. And what was great about that was she was really able to help us communicate with the Bayside community members, our students, on why they were there to learn English. And with community-based ESL programs, I think that most of the reasoning in order to learn English would be to, for example, use English to advocate for themselves in their community, whether that's writing a letter in order to fix a road, or seeing a healthcare provider, using English in order to communicate in the workplace. So there was just, I would say, specific reasons for the students wanting to learn English, but it was really helpful to have that translator in our classroom in order for us to communicate and really find out what our students' needs were. So like Dr. Alexandrowicz said, I taught it with two other students in my cohort. And what we did was really just kind of rotate throughout the days. So we taught the class one day a week, but we rotated on who was teaching the class each day, each Monday. So that's just a little bit about, you know, what we did, the reasoning behind why we taught the class in general, and how it was just it really, I would say, shaped who I am as a teacher today.
So maybe we can tell them a little bit about what the curriculum was about. But one of the, for example, and Carly gave you really good examples. We tried to focus on what were the immediate needs, like Carly was saying. So for example, one of them was they were getting evicted from their homes. And so some of the sessions were how to help them to advocate for themselves for that. So it wasn't, even though the curriculum was planned, it emerged as it went. So based on what they were needing and what their feedback they were giving the group is what, you know, it was agreed to include in the curriculum. So it was a really student-centered curriculum and driven by the students instead of just, you know, okay, we're gonna do this irregardless of what you need. So that was a really important part of the project. Go ahead, Dalia, you want to say something?
Yeah, it's just so interesting. I was curious, like, how your leadership skills factored into like this this group, you know, like bringing them to campus, like what kind of coordination was involved with the translator? What was it like in the classroom, you know, because there's so many different levels of language skills, like how did you kind of manage that?
Yeah, and I think that at the beginning, again, we started this based because I was on the board of directors of the community center. I was very very familiar with the needs for the community. So they came to me, you know, because I work with them in all kind of other projects. I help with their gardens, and I did a couple of summers nutrition workshops for the group as well. It was the ESL nutrition, so I did that as well. So because they came to me, I had to really coordinate this with the center because they had to provide support in terms of transportation. For example, they didn't have a way to get to USD, and one of the translator, which is a community member, she's Vietnamese and she's a leader in the community. So I really organize and coordinate all this with her and the leaders in the community center to make sure that they could be transported there, that they give her time to go and stay with the group. Because the issue that the teachers had was that the proficiency levels were really varied. I mean, you would have somebody that would just barely speaking English, and some of them that could read and write. So even though there were three, and at the beginning they were teaching the three of them at the same time, it was really challenging because when you have somebody that doesn't speak English at all, it's really hard to be teaching and keeping that person into consideration. And also they were older. They were not young kids. They were older. They were like 60, 70, you know, 75, 80. I think we had some people that were 80 years old. So in that sense, it took a lot of conversation among leadership, myself and the people at the center, to be able to coordinate everything. And also I had to find classrooms. Like classrooms at USD they're really hard to find. So, you know, just to find a classroom, I had to work with people that at the university that work with, you know, classrooms, and try to find classrooms so they can come to USD, because in general, we always think that community members will want us to go there. But in this case, like Carly mentioned, they were thrilled about coming to USD. USD, some of them have told me, it was just this white, beautiful university that is not accessible to them. So just to make it accessible and for them to be on campus, is part of their community, and they see it as something that is so far, it's like not something that they can even touch. So one of the members, told me one time that she was very, I say that she was very intimidated by, by the whole idea of coming to campus. And I saw her months later going to the restaurant at USD, happy with a professor having lunch and feeling like at home. So that alone was amazing. And also, one of the groups had an opportunity to visit with the president. So it was a really, again, it took a lot of leadership to be able to have a type of program like this. You couldn't do it. You have to work with other leaders. You have to coordinate a lot before you can bring something to, to life like this. Carly, you want to add to that?
Yeah, especially thinking about the challenges. It was nice to collaborate with 2 other students who speak other languages than English, because English is the only language that I speak. So there's certain aspects of teaching English that I wasn't exactly familiar with. One of the students that I taught with speaks Spanish as well, and she really was able to emphasize how important teaching pronunciation is and how important it is to speak very slow. And that's one thing that I really had to learn as an ESL professor, is to really, slow down and emphasize on pronunciation. And that was one of our biggest challenges with since the levels, fluctuated so much, is we really had to focus on speaking slow, pronunciating our words, teaching pronunciation to the students who were, lower level. And it was really helpful to have collaborative meetings. I remember actually meeting in one of the rooms at USD to talk to the translator about what was working and what was not working, such as, like I just described, at the rate that we were maybe teaching the material or at the rate that we were speaking. So for me, it was a great experience to learn, some of the things about how to improve becoming a teacher when you're teaching, a very, low literacy level. But also, one of the most amazing parts of this experience that I really do want to highlight is building these relationships with people in the community, because Dr. Alexandrowicz actually took us on a trip to the Bayside Community Center as a whole class. So not just the students who were teaching for the Bayside community members, but we were able to go to the community center and immerse ourselves in the Bayside Community Center. And I just remember the experience and running into my students at a farmer's market that day, and just how excited they were to see me and see the other teachers, and also just, building, I would say, building those relationships. And that even really inspired me to go help out at the community center. I remember an experience that we were able to go help paint the community center. So I just feel like having these relationships, inspired me to help out more in the community as well.
And one of the, I wanted to highlight that what Carly was referring to, we had several meetings with the community. She wasn't just a translator, she was really the most important community liaison that we had for the Vietnamese community that we have in the Vietnamese community in Linda Vista. So she's a really well-known person. I wouldn't say famous, but she's really a leader. So we did have to have meetings at that level with her to see how the program was going and what were the needs, and also have a lot of input on what's next, what do they need next. So that was really important in terms of leadership. She was a leader in the community that guided us in what we were going to do in the next months or next weeks. So that's that was important. And the other thing I was going to say is that Carly is referring to also a trip that I lead into Linda Vista every year. I was doing it twice a year. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing that, but at least once a year, because students that enter our programs are required an international requirement. So we have abroad trips, but we also have domestic trips, and one of them is going into the community and learning about the capitals in the community, the social capital, the educational capital, the economic capital, the cultural and the spiritual capital of Linda Vista. It's not about going to places and look at physical spaces, but really getting to know the people in the community, and that's what Carly was referring to.
Thank you. So I think we have a few more people that just logged in, but if you have any questions, feel free to unmute, or you can put your questions into the chat. While we're waiting for those questions, there is one question in the chat. What kind of transformation did you see in the students throughout this program?
I would say confidence. And even if it was just a slight improvement of confidence, but when the students first started the program, you could tell, yes, they were really excited and eager to learn. However, you can tell that they were pretty nervous to still be on campus. Like, even as a graduate student entering the University of San Diego, for myself, I was super, super nervous. So, these students were really nervous at the start, but I could see that throughout the program, they were starting to, just really enjoy themselves. We had a lot of laughter, a lot of laughs. From asking the students what their favorite movie was and getting to know, certain aspects about them. But I just feel that having, when English is not your first language, you can only imagine on, how nervous you can be when it comes to even just asking for directions, or when it comes to asking for directions in transportation, or talking to other people. So I just feel that confidence was, something that I really saw change throughout the whole course, and especially in the end.
Yeah. And I have to say that the three of them, they became leaders because they now had all that experience under their belt. We had to finish the program after a year and a half for reasons out of our control. And the community just look up to them, not just as teachers, but really as leaders. And they kept asking me, oh, can we have this program again? I said, it's out of my control. I would love to have it again. And I think that we are studying the possibility of having it in the future again, because you do become not just an experienced teacher, but leaders in the community. They always ask me about them with a lot of respect.
Carly, you can speak a little bit about just your graduate experience, why you chose this particular master's program, and ultimately, like what you've done since graduating. That might be helpful.
I would love to speak about this. My experience is I, graduated with my bachelor's in English literature, and I really like to be open and honest about my background and where I come from, because growing up in elementary school, high school even, I come from a predominantly white English speaking neighborhood. So I went into this program with the hope of meeting people from all over the world, which I had the opportunity, and I'm so grateful that in my program I met so many people from around the world who spoke many different languages. And that's why I was, really hopeful to start this program, to meet people who, have experience with learning English as a second language, but also have, the desire to teach it as well. So I think that that's, why I chose, that's 100% why I chose USD and entered the program, to have more diverse experiences and opportunities. So, and I think that the university really opened my eyes and motivated me to find specific, populations of people who hope to learn English, but maybe do not have the access. Really briefly, I do want to touch base about another, I would say another initiative or another program that took place on campus for my research. I think it's a really critical part of who I am as a teacher, and really stemmed from this experience that Dr. Alexandrowicz and I have been explaining throughout this whole presentation. But once that program that we were just explaining ended, I really wanted to find another opportunity or another group of people who were hoping to learn English. And I was able, with the help from my teachers and human resources on campus, to find a group of workers, of facility workers that worked on the University of San Diego's campus that really wanted to learn English. So at the University of San Diego, actually in the workers, it was their lunchroom. So there really wasn't any technology. It was where they took their breaks. And there was about 10 campus workers that really wanted to learn English. And what we did was, before they started their shift at 6 o'clock at night, because they worked overnight, we had English class at 5 o'clock. So an hour before they started work, they came to campus on their own time to learn English, to improve their English at the workplace. So in order to speak to their boss, in order to read or write work notices. So that is what I did for my final research. However, after leaving the University of San Diego, I taught at Palomar Community College. I taught at Grossmont Community College. I also moved to Phoenix, Arizona to teach English 101. I currently am teaching a stress management and health and nutrition program in Chicago. So that's just a little bit about what I've been doing. I know that that was kind of a fast explanation of everything that I've been doing since graduation, but I really wanted to touch base on what I did for my final research, because I really think that that was an inspiration, or I would say a motivation, stemming from this change-making initiative and this, this volunteer ESL program that Dr. Alexandrowicz and my two colleagues and Tammy from Bayside Community wanted, that we started. So I wanted to kind of continue with a similar initiative.
And I want to show you Carly and Aureen and Paz, the four of us published an article in the Cartizal Journal. The Cartizal Journal has only like 30% acceptance. And we have this article, if anyone wants to have it, it details everything that we have explained today, but we have the objectives and we explain the curriculum and everything. So if you want this, I can send it to you. I don't think that there is a link for it for this journal. Just have it on PDF in case that you are interested. I can make it available. One of the things that Carly was mentioning, she was mentioning her research, and I think that our students feel they have a lot of opportunities to take action. One of the principles in our department, we have 4 meta values. One of them, is inclusion and critical inquiry, internationalization, and change making. And as change makers, we would like to offer our students opportunity to just take charge. If they want to take action on any area that they think that they would like to do it, we support them 100%. And so we will support them with whatever is needed. If our students need connections or send letters to whomever, and we provide that. In that way, you can go for it. You can be a change maker. Our students can be change makers. So we hope that this has been interesting and helpful in understanding a little bit of our philosophy and what we strive for and how we take opportunities for leadership in our programs.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you both so much for sharing your experience, and just what we do is so unique and different as a graduate school, and so it's great for other people to hear what we're doing in the community and how it makes an impact. So thank you all for your time and for joining us. We appreciate you, and have a good night.